Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel. And today we will be looking at a relatively new product, and that is the Vault Pro by David Penn and TCC Magic. This is a reimagining of an older product that David Penn has put out years ago, but this time it is made of metal, it's made stronger, it's made better than the original, and it is something that I think if you like coin to impossible location, you may very well enjoy this. So we're gonna roll the intro and dive directly into the Vault Pro. Perfect, so decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about the Vault Pro. So what is it? This is essentially a coin to impossible location. And the way that this would kind of play out, I'll do a small performance. Again, we're not in the best setting to do the performance of this, but you'll still get an idea of how the effect plays out. So what you would do is you would ask your spectators for a coin, and then you would take the coin and you would have it signed. So for example, in this case, I'll put ST on the coin for my name. And on the other side, I would put, just for magic review, we can put MR. So we'll do it just like this. So we have MR for magic review and ST for the channel. And this could be, the spectator's signature, the spectator's initials, a random number that they call out. It could be literally anything. And you take the coin and you say, look, I also wanted you to see that the coin goes in my hand, that I don't have anything up my sleeves or anything fishy like that. And what I'll have you do right there is I'll have you hold me by the wrist. And before we do anything, we need a special thing in order to achieve a magical moment. Does anyone know what we need in order to achieve a magical moment? Does anyone know? A magic wand. But unfortunately, I'm actually on a budget, so the magic wand that we're actually going to use is going to be the pen. And all you have to do is if you just do this and you tap, believe it or not, the magic moment has occurred. It really has occurred. Because if you take a look, you can actually see that inside of my hand, there is now nothing. There's nothing inside of my hand. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but on the table from the start, there was my keys. On the table. You could even rewind the video and see those have been on the table from the start. And you can see there's some kind of a thing on my keys. And it's actually something interesting. It's kind of like a holder of sorts. And if you just unscrew the top, you can actually get inside of it another box. Can you guess what's inside of this box? I hope that you said another box because you'd be correct. Inside of this box, can you guess what's inside? Let me just open it and like that. Can you guess what's inside? Another box. But however, inside of this last box, there is something. And I'll unscrew it just like this, and I'll want you to open it and tell everyone what's inside. Your coin with your initials inside the vault on my phone, on my keychain that was on the table from the start, and that is for you. Thank you so much. So that would be a presentation of the Vault by David Penn. Okay, again, it wasn't the best presentation because I'm sitting down, etc. But you get an idea of the effect. So now that you know this, let's talk about where you get this, how much does it cost, and what do you get. So you can buy this directly from TCC Magic, or you can buy it from an associate magic dealer, like for example, ALAKAZAM Magic. This will set you back 118-ish Canadian dollars, which equivalates to around 80 something USD. And what you're going to get with your purchase is this beautiful box, the usual TCC packaging with either the gold or silver foil embossing on it. And inside of this box, you're going to get a few things. First, you're going to get a tutorial video that is around 20-ish minutes long with David Penn that goes over everything that you need to know about the effect, how to set it up, how it works. There's a live performance of the effect. He gives you both versions of the effects and how to do them. I'll come to that in a second. And then, it's a very to-the-point tutorial that goes over everything that you would need to know. Then inside of the box, you're going to get a few things. You're going to get two versions of this effect, okay? So you're going to get one version, which is the one that you saw, which is the one where the keychain is on the table from the start. So that you're going to have your keys on the table from the start. You wouldn't want to necessarily point attention that you have your keys on the table. You would just, as you want to do an effect, remove them, place them to the side, and then later on, say that they were on the table, and people will notice that they were on the table because they noticed you taking them out. But the keys can be on the table from the start. That's version 1, which is with this gimmick. So this is the gimmick for version 1. Then you also get a gimmick for version 2, which is this one. It is the exact same gimmick. The only difference is that this one, the keys have to be in your pocket until you give them to someone. So this would be in the pocket, and at one point you say, look, you lent me money, and I don't want you to think that I'm going to steal your money, so here, I'll give you something to hold, take my keys. Then you can give it to them, they can see the coin in the hand, and then you make the vanish, and the coin vanishes inside of the key. So we have two versions. One, where the key is in the spectator's hands, but the keys have to come out from your pocket. Or you have a version where the keys cannot be in the spectator's hands, but they can be at the table before you start the effect. So you can pick and choose what you want, and you get the gimmicks for both, which is very, very nice and appreciated that you get gimmicks for both versions. Each have their plus and cons. For example, this one, you don't need to have the gimmick and the device all in your pocket to weigh it down. But again, it can be examined. Whereas the other one, you can't have it examined, but the gimmick and the keys and all of the, shenanigans that are going on have to be in your pocket at the same time, which does hold a bit of weight. So on top of both versions, which are really well made, I should say, these are, metal, they're extremely well made, they handle well, they're perfectly crafted, they do everything as they're supposed to do. The quality of this is, exceptional. And then on top of all of this, you also get a loader. So you're going to get a metal loader. It's a really thick, well-made loader. I won't show it to you because I don't want to, that's part of the secret. But you also get that loader, which will allow you to load the coin inside of this with ease. So that is everything that you get with your Vault Pro. So now that you know that, I do also want to mention a small thing, is that in the ad copy, and in kind of the build up to this, they do say that you can use a ring. However, it's hard to find a ring that would work with this. It cannot be a ring that has a stone. It cannot be a thick ring. It cannot be, a big ring. It has to be those very thin wedding bands, because this is your load chamber in here. I'll show it to you. So this small thing here is your load chamber. So as you can see, it is small, so it cannot hold a ring with a rock or anything like that. So if you wanted to buy this for a ring, keep in mind, you'll have to hunt those very, very thin bordered rings. A coin, for people that are in Canada, you can fit perfectly a 25-cent coin, or the best fit is $1. $1 coin fits edge to edge perfectly inside. The effect is best done with $1, but a 25 cents would work the same. But that is just to mention that if you'd want to do a ring, it does need to be a very thin ring, okay? So this is, in my opinion, best designed to be performed with coins, okay? So now that you know that, what is the difficulty of the effect? The effect is very simple. There's nothing really hard to do here. The only move that you need to do is a coin vanish. I don't think that's giving away the method, because we all know that the coin doesn't miraculously end up in the contraption. It vanishes. So as long as you know a coin vanish, you could do the one that I do, which is the one that I love, but you can also do anything. So if you want to do something like the French drop and do it like that, you can do it with the French drop. If you want to do, a fake put or anything like that, kind of like this, you're free to go. Any coin vanish that you want, you can use in order to do the effect. That's all that you need to achieve it, is a coin vanish, okay? So now that you know that, let's get into the practicality. So what is the practicality of this? First, what do you have to carry around in order to perform this? You need to carry around your contraption and your keys and your loader. So you need to carry all of that with you. Now, if you do the version here, which is the keys on the table one, without giving too much away, you do not need everything in one pocket. You could have your keys in another pocket and your contraption in one pocket with the loader. However, if you want to do the other version with the keys in the pocket that are examinable, that one you will need to have the keys, the loader, and the contraption all in one pocket, which means that to do this effect, you will need to freeze a pocket. This will take one pocket in order to be performed if you do the examinable version. However, if you want to do this version, you can probably fit a small thing in your pocket as well. So if you want to fit something like a small packet trick or something like that, you can easily have the device and a small packet trick in one pocket. So that is up to you to decide, but you will need some pocket space in order to achieve this effect, as is with pretty much all of these type of coins to impossible location devices that are done on your person, right? Except for that, let's now dive into inspectability. Is this inspectable? And the answer is yes. One version is not so much. In terms of angles, the angles for both versions are almost 360 degrees. For this version, they are 360 degrees, but as I said, you don't want to necessarily put focus on the keys specifically. In terms of reset, the reset is instant, which is nice, is that the moment that you end the effect, it's reset. So in this moment right now, I would just put this in my pocket and I'm reset to do it again. In terms of a table, you do not need a table to perform this effect either, okay? In terms of where would you perform this? So where would you perform this? Anywhere that you want, as long as you have a spectator that has coins, or you can give your own coins, because I know nowadays most people don't carry coins. So personally, if I were to do this, I would carry coins with me. So I would carry more so the dollar, because I do like the dollar version more, and do it with a dollar in case, I do this to someone that doesn't have a coin. I just say, look, I'll just use my dollar and do the effect. So as long as you have a coin and a willing spectator, you would be able to do this. And again, I do think this works in a lot of settings, but not sitting down. I don't think this is best done sitting down. It's an effect that is more likely best suited for standing performances, okay? Now to conclude all of this, what are the positives and negatives of this effect? First, let's start out with the negatives. What is one of the negatives of the effect? One of the negatives of the effect is that you are limited to coins. Yes, you could possibly use rings, but again, you're very limited in the thickness of ring. You would need this thinnest of bands in order to do this. So you are limited to coins. So if you wanted specifically something to vanish a ring and have it appear, this is not the best device for you. There are others out there that will probably be better suited for your style. Another thing that I could point out is that these are really well made and fresh, which means that when you get them, they will probably maybe be hard to open. For example, for me, it took me around 20 minutes to open my vault gimmick because it was so well made and so precision made that it was so hard to open. I literally had to take a screwdriver, like the bulb of the screwdriver, the handle, and smack the vault gimmick for like 10 minutes before it opens. Now that may just be my mind that was really, stuck together, but that may not happen for you. But to me, that was an issue, and I did have to navigate it. Again, I didn't, scratch it, bend it, break it, nothing. I was just tapping, kind of, like a jar of pickles, when you can't open a jar of pickles and you tap the sides to release the pressure. That's kind of what I had to do with this because it was welded shut. But now, as you saw in performance, once it opens, it's smooth. I didn't have to struggle, nothing. It opened like butter. So that is another thing. And the last thing is that you will need to freeze a pocket in order to do this effect, and that you'll have to carry your keys with you. But except for that, what are the positives? One, it is extremely well made. The instructions are good. The tutorial is good. You get 2 variations of this, which is fantastic and so nice. You have so many ways to do this with keys from your pocket, not your pocket, because of these variations. I must say the loader is fantastic. It's an amazing loader. The routine is super, super easy to do. It has tons of ways that you can do it. David Penn gives you ideas how to do it with an extra coin to add layers of deception. He teaches you how to do it with flash paper. He teaches you a ton of variations, which means that this effect is very modular. It's pretty practical and it can be performed in a ton of scenarios. And also the effect is very hard hitting. The few times that I've performed this since I've gotten it, the reactions have been mint. So that's all I have to say about the Vault Pro. Again, if you have any questions, leave them down below. But I know you all want to know, would I recommend the Vault Pro and what do I give it out of 10? Personally, I do recommend this. I heavily recommend this because it is my first gimmick of coin to impossible location. Type like this. I don't have Get Smarty, I don't have Sense Tag, I don't have any of those. But this one works perfectly, and this one is a very chic, a very elegant version. It looks expensive, it looks like something, high class that would fit me when I go out to perform. Not my everyday life, but when I go out to perform, I am in a suit. I have, really thick and nice business cards. I present myself well for the events that I do, which are mostly private and corporate events. So this works perfectly for me. So I do heavily recommend this. I am giving the Vault Pro by David Penn an 8.5 on 10. I think it's great, but it does have some gripes that I have mentioned. Those can be fixed, but there are still things that may bother a person or another. So I do mention them before you purchase. So that's all I have to say. If you have any additional questions, leave them down below. If not, I will see you all in my next review. Have a great one, and bye-bye.